Woo! This season is almost here, and to put everyone in perspective, it is time to rank every star. I've got 7 tiers that I'm going to put everyone in. First, I'm going to name the tier, then I'm going to name everyone in it, and then defend my most controversial pick. So we'll go from the top goated tier to the bottom, the AllFraud Tier. Goated tier, reserved for players who can claim that they're the best in the world. It's a 2-man tier, baby. LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Now, I will get to why guys like Steph Curry aren't in this, but the fact is that KD and LeBron raised the ceiling of their team and the floor, okay? Other dudes can put teams over the top to win a chip, right? But these two guys would take a team of scrubs onto their back into the playoffs. When their careers are over, I think LeBron and KD will be top 10 all-time players. LeBron may be the old king, but he is still the best player in the world. I don't care that Giannis has Finals MVP. LeBron didn't get a chance to repeat because of a fluke injury. Next, the AllWorld Tier. Players who have been mistaken for the best in the world. That's also a 2-man tier, Steph Curry and Kawhi Leonard. I considered putting both in the GOATed tier, I really did, but they have limitations. Steph changed the game, but his defense keeps him from being in that GOATed tier. I am sorry. Kawhi has both, but he's injury prone. Still though, both guys are all-time greats with multiple chips, not saying anything bad. Kawhi was the best player on 2 title teams, Steph on 1, but he's got 2 MVPs, and he's still in his prime. No joke, if Kawhi was consistently healthy, he would be in the GOATed tier with LeBron and KD, and I know that pisses some people off. Next, the All-Greatness Tier. These are players who can be the best on a championship team. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Luka Doncic. Now, I know that Giannis and Jokic are the only guys with an MVP there, but for Luka, it's just a matter of time, and for Embiid, it's just a matter of health. That's it. Luka's big knock here is defense, especially compared to like Embiid and Giannis, but his offense is straight genius level, and that lands him in this tier. Next is the AllNBA Tier. I don't think they can be the best on a title team in a normal year. They could with a bunch of injuries, but they're a generational talent. Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, James Harden, Jason Tatum. These are players that could be Hall of Famers still making an impact, but I don't think they'd be the best player on a championship team in a normal year. If any one of these guys is your best player, you're always going to be in the playoff mix, but you're never actually going to be a true contender. I could see disagreement about AD because of his Pelicans days, saying, how could he be in this tier because the Pelicans were basically trash every year? But honestly, I think he's grown since then, plus he's got the championship, and now he's like a defensive player of the year type guy. Next, the All-Star Tier. It's the biggest tier. These are guys who, not the best on a title team in any scenario, but are reliable stars. Ben Simmons. Yes, I said it. I'll get to that later. Chris Middleton, Julius Randle, Trae Young, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, Pascal Siakam, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Devin Booker, Paul George, Kristaps Porzingis, Ja Morant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, De'Aaron Fox, Russell Westbrook, and Shea. There's a lot to defend here, starting with Ben. Now, I said reliable stars, right? And your antennas went up when I said Ben Simmons. But what Simmons did in the playoffs was the opposite of reliable. But I refuse to overreact to the last thing we saw. He can be an all-star again, especially on a team that builds around him. I think every one of these guys needs a 1A type star who's a notch above to win a title, right? And some of these guys could jump a tier. Zion Williamson and Ja Morant are perfect examples. Right now, they're on Russell Westbrook's tier in terms of a playoff ceiling, but they will probably jump as they get older. Trae Young is another player with potential, but not in one of those elite tiers yet. Okay, I've been wrong about him in the past, but his defensive limitations force his coaches to get really creative. Next up, the All-Overrated Tier. Self-explanatory. DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Gordon Hayward, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. All of these guys have huge flaws or an injury history that caps their potential, and truly they're overrated, just from getting all-stars in the past and their giant contracts. Okay, DeRozan and Towns, great offensively. They'll make all-star teams because of that. But what matters is the playoffs, and their defensive holes get exposed. Rudy Gobert, obviously a beast on that end, but the Jazz can't even play him in some postseason series. How can that guy be anything but an overrated star? I feel bad for Domantas Sabonis putting him on this list, but look, he's the Pacers' best player, and he was an All-Star one, so he was one of the weakest All-Stars since Nikola Vucevic, right? So I think he has to be on this list, sorry. And our last tier is the AllFraud Tier. It's self-explanatory. Nick Vucevic, Carmelo Anthony, John Wall, D'Angelo Russell, Kemba Walker, Blake Griffin, Kevin Love. Vooch, great on offense, a negative on defense. Outside of his bubble run, dude is a disaster in the playoffs. Average about 10 points on 7 boards and 36% from the field with bad defense in 6 games. John Wall, Kemba, and Blake are fraud stars because of injury. Carmelo is here just because of his age. Okay, this is looking ahead to the 2022 season. I should have said that already. Kevin Love is the most confusing fraud star in the league because his career was amazing at one point. Dude was key to a title team. He was a great young player on the T-Wolves. Since LeBron left Cleveland, though, he has been an injury-prone mess with a horrible attitude. Here's one thing about these tiers. You don't absolutely need a goated or all-world player to win a title. The Raptors won in 2019, obviously, but I think that a third-tier star could have led them to that chip against the injured Warriors. It's just a lot harder to do. Also, the best advantage in the NBA is to have a player who outperforms his tier. Okay, we could see Luka, for example, take a leap from tier 3 to tier 2. And from a salary cap standpoint, that would be huge for the Mavericks. Normally, guys in tier 1 or 2 are like LeBron, KD, Steph. Like, those guys make more money than anyone. So if any player jumps a tier or 2 tiers, oh my God, then his team is probably deeper with more money to spend. On the flip side, if a team pays an all-fraud player like an all-star, the team is screwed. Okay, that's like what the Bulls did with DeMar DeRozan or the Rockets with John Wall, even though they are going to trade him. Another thing that I love about putting players in tiers is it speaks to a guy's legacy. Like, once you become a goated tier player, it's really tough to get bumped out. The lower the tier, the more the turnover rate is. Guys get bumped in and out all the time, but the higher the tier, the harder it is to get in. And that's why it's so cool when a guy changes tiers from one season to the next. Like, I would not have put Jokic in the old greatness tier, but after his MVP season, I think he can win a championship. I know he's a liability on defense, but like if Steph Curry and Dirk can win chips, so can the Joker. I think Chris Paul's jump impresses me the most. Like, I thought his job in OKC was impressive, but to see him take a young Suns team to the finals shows his ceiling is huge still at 36 years old. But I still say LeBron is the best, even though no one that ESPN asked thinks so. To me, he beats out Giannis and KD, and this video explains why.